術がないんじゃないかというような指摘とかですね、あるいはそのメンタルなところについてのところがないんじゃないかといったところは、競技についてはそういう競技ごとのガイドブックっていうのは IF と今作っているところでございますので。
Michio Yoshida joins us for more from Tokyo. Michio, authorities will be hoping this extension is enough to get on top of cases.
Well, the situation here in Japan varies depending on the prefecture. In Tokyo, number of daily cases has fallen to around 600, but that's still a huge number. Osaka used to have more cases than Tokyo. It's now down to about 300. Hokkaido's number is high with over 400 daily new cases, and Okinawa actually hit a record high today with 313 cases, and hospital beds on the island for COVID-19 patients are fully booked. Now, members of government panel say that the people movement has not fallen. It's basically due to the fact that people have gotten used to the state of emergency. For instance, Tokyo and Osaka, it's only 1 month during this year that these prefectures were not in a state of emergency. Well, the government will continue to call for eateries not to serve alcohol, karaoke shops to keep shut, but the measures have been hurting businesses and the economy as a whole. Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga called Fukui Prefecture a model of how it's been dealing with COVID-19. It has been successfully tracing those infected, and he said that many of those infected were due to talking without masks, and he's strongly been calling on people to wear masks even during meals. And border control, it has been stepped up, especially towards India and its neighboring countries, starting from this Friday.
Michio, the extension is set to run until the 20th of June. That doesn't leave much time left for Tokyo to iron out final details before the Olympics.
Well, one major decision that was expected to be made is about spectators at the venues of the Olympic Games. Well, it appears that the organizing committee wants to accommodate fans, but it cannot make the announcement at this point in time when the state of emergency is extended. And according to media surveys, the majority of the public is against hosting the Tokyo Olympic Games this summer, so it's being very cautious. The Olympic organizers want to assure a safe and secure Olympic Games, so consolidating the medical system is important. It says that 2,600 doctors, 3,800 nurses, and more healthcare workers will work on shifts during the Olympic Games. The Olympic playbook, a second version has been released as a guideline, and the third version should be out in June. And this should finalize COVID-19 measures, movements of various stakeholders until their departure from Japan. Organizers actually want to reduce guests, and Mr. Suga is calling for stakeholders to be down to more than half of what was expected. Now, the key for Japan is safety of residents, so that they will not be so unhappy with the hosting of the Olympic Games, and that's by accelerating vaccination. At this point in time, only about 3% of the Japanese population has been fully vaccinated. The government assures that there's enough vaccination to go around, but there's a lack of those who can actually administer these vaccines to the public. So there's a lot the Japanese government must do ahead of the Olympic Games.
Many thanks for getting us up to speed. Michio Yoshida speaking to us from Tokyo.
Clashes between the Myanmar military and armed civilians look set to intensify. The National Unity Government, formed by the ousted lawmakers, is urging people to start stocking up on essential items, warning that violence could soon worsen. John Wykett with this report.
The Myanmar army is facing increasing resistance from civilians who've taken up arms. In May, the National Unity Government, formed by the ousted lawmakers, set up the People's Defence Force. It's to be made up of civilians trained in warfare. And since then, more of such civilian defense groups have been emerging, each group in charge of its own territories. Almost immediately, the Myanmar Army marked the People's Defense Force as a terrorist group. It accused the ethnic armed groups of training civilians to handle weapons and make bombs. The army has also arrested various civilians suspected of coordinating such training. Some security experts say the People's Defense Force won't be a big threat to the Myanmar Army in terms of firepower and troop size. But the civilian defense group's attacks are picking up pace. In recent weeks, Yangon has seen numerous cases of arson and blasts at state buildings as well as schools. Some of these attacks appear to be targeting the army-appointed ward administrators. These officials are officials who typically handle grassroots matters in residential areas, but they've also been accused of being spies for the Myanmar Army. And it seems that the worst is yet to come. Recently, the National Unity Government says the pro-democracy protests are intensifying. It also asks people to be on alert and stock up on essential items like food and medicine, both for themselves and for the People's Defense Force. Various civilian defense groups have also said that they will step up attacks in the coming weeks. Some have warned people to stay indoors and be away from army convoys or checkpoints. Others are more specific, saying that they plan to carry out more attacks at state buildings in the coming weeks. These threats come amid the backdrop of various significant recent developments in Myanmar. The National Unity Government has recently spelled out rules for the People's Defense Force. They include carrying out attacks only on the military and not on civilians. The NUG adds it will continue to train the People's Defense Force in warfare and work with other local armed groups. But these developments may hamper any progress in Myanmar. Last month, ASEAN agreed it would work on sending a special envoy to Myanmar. But the Myanmar Army maintains that it'll first have to ensure there's stability and security in the country before allowing any official in. Leong Wai Kit, CNA.
Still to come, it's not ta-ta yet to e-commerce for Indian conglomerate Tata as it buys Alibaba's stake in an online grocer. And later celebrations for the King's birthday postponed again as Malaysia struggles to rein in a coronavirus outbreak.
Every time a business opens its doors, it opens up possibilities throughout Asia. And while some doors close, the will to try again never dies. There's nothing small about their commitment to Asia's future. And there's nothing small about our commitment to yours.
Bearing the brunt of worsening global warming.
As we see the whole landscape changing, it is really impacting our way of life.
Can we reduce our carbon footprint to fight climate change?
We're doing our bit to not rely so much on the coal-fired power stations to power what we do in our house.
Are the steps we're taking really enough? CNA correspondent fighting climate change. Tonight on CNA.
Every day, the financial world goes through dramatic rise and falls. We'll track the biggest market movers and show you where the opportunities lie. Get the experts' take on the performance of key indices. Plus all the analysis to help you understand forces driving global economies. The daily business news you need, only on CNA. This segment is brought to you by Xeon Corporation.